Hello yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to make our little Christmas angels. And you'll notice I have 3 different sizes. These are made with a medium weight number 4 yarn and an H hook. These are made with a bulky 5 yarn and an I hook. So that's a 5mm and a 6mm. Now this one is made with a super bulky number 6. And I used a 8mm hook for that one. So this pattern can be made in different sizes. That's the beauty of it. Alright, so let's talk about the sizes. This one measures about 5 inches. This one measures about 2.5, maybe 3, not quite. And then this one is about 3. So you can make them in different sizes for different things. Now I've got ribbons on them and cute little buttons of different types. So you can use them for different things. Now these bigger ones do make nice ornaments. These can be used as tags on a bag. You can just use them for decorations, appliques, lots of different things. It's just a fun little Christmas angel pattern. These would be lovely on, say, a mug rug or a mug cozy or a jar cozy. These are big enough to be put on a bunting. And of course, this size is perfect for the gift tag or ornament. But they're beautiful, and it would be a lot of fun to make a bunch in a bunch of different colors. I've got sparkle yarns. I've got a shiny yarn here. This is a velvet yarn, and this is just our big, bulky, chunky, bulky 6 yarn that I had left over from another project. So you can get in your yarn stash as well. You don't have to make them in Christmas colors. Make them in someone's favorite color and hang it on their gift. Use them as place markers at the Christmas table or a Christmas get-together, and put an angel on each plate in different colors, maybe in that person's favorite colors. So there's lots of great reasons to make our little Christmas angels. Now you can find the complete pattern with pictures on my blog, and as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make our smallest angel, you're going to need a medium weight number 4 yarn and an H hook, which is a 5mm. If you're going to make our medium size angel, you're going to need a bulky number 5 and a J hook, which is a 6mm. If you're going to make our big one, using super bulky number 6 yarn, you're going to need a L hook, which is an 8mm. Okay? And of course, get in your yarn stash and see what kinds of yarns that you can come up with. Now for today's demonstration, I'm going to be using the Chunky Parfait in this beautiful golden yellow. It is a super bulky number 6, so I'm going to be using the L hook, which is an 8mm. Okay? Now I have this little bit of white yarn out here because I'm going to be sewing on this white puppy button. And I chose this one because it reminds me of my Maximo that went over the Rainbow Bridge. And so I thought I would put this button on this gold angel. But I'll sew it on with this white yarn since the button is mostly white. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, some of these I used are flat backs, and I just used a little dab of hot glue to hold it in place. You can use any glue that you want to hold on your button because this is a decoration. And then you're going to need a piece of ribbon, and I like these thin ribbons. I just buy them when they're on clearance or on sale different places. And so I have lots of different ones, like this has had little bumps on the side. And this is cranberry and red and blue and yellow. And I have a big box of ribbons. And I like to use the ribbons as hangers. Okay? And then of course you're going to need your scissors. And then I have a couple of needles out here because I'm going to use this needle with the big eye to weave in my end. But I'm going to use this smaller needle to sew on my button. All right, so now as far as the amount of yarn, it takes very little, not even an ounce of each, just a small amount. And of course, you don't have to use the colors that I've chosen. These are just yarns I had on hand. I love sparkle yarn, so I had sparkle yarns on hand. And this is like a shimmery soft yarn. And this one is a velvet yarn with a gold sparkle in it. I don't know if you can see that gold sparkle. And then, of course, the big one. And I put, because it didn't have sparkle, I put a nice sparkly button on there. All right. So these are our little Christmas angels. Get in your yarn stash, have some fun picking out some yarns, and we'll get started. Oh, and the angels, no matter what size yarn and hook that you're using, are stitched up exactly the same. So again, no matter what size angel that you're making, the stitching is all the same. Just make sure if you're using a medium weight number 4 that you use the 5mm. If you're using the chunky number 5, you use the 6mm. And since I'm using super bulky number 6, I'm using my 8mm crochet hook. All right, so we'll start with our slip knot. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to join this into a circle and make that stay knot. I'm real excited to see how this beautiful yellow, it's kind of a yellowy bright yellow, is going to work for our angel. And I love that I picked it out for the angel for Maximo. All right, so what we're going to do is in this circle, we're going to go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. Now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in our circle. 1 and 2. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to slip stitch in the circle. Now we're going to do this 2 more times. Chain 3. 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and chain 3. Slip stitch in the circle. All right, so we'll do this one more time. Chain 3, 2 double crochets, 1, some more yarn here, 2, chain 3, move that around, there we go, and slip stitch in the circle. So we have made a head and 2 wings. Now we're going to chain 3, and we're going to stitch 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to chain 3. All right, now let's take a look at what we've done. We're going to turn it this way. So we have 3 sets of chain 3, 2 double crochet, chain 3, and a slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. And then on the 4th one, we chained 3 and we stitched 3 double crochets and chain 3. This is going to be our angel's dress. But before we do that, we want to turn this over and gently give that string a little bit of a tug. There we go. We want to try to close up that hole. And I'm going to grab my big needle. There we go. And weave this in. I'm just going to go up a few stitches. And then I'm going to turn around and come back. There we go. We don't want the center of our angel to come undone. Alrighty, so this is how it looks at this point. We have our two angel wings and our angel's head and the beginning of her skirt. All right, so now let's make another row for her skirt. So we've chained 3. We're going to turn our work. We're going to double crochet in that first stitch. Then we'll double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. And then we'll double crochet 2 times in that last stitch. 1 and 2. And that will give us 6 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and chain 1. All right, and so now our angel has part of her skirt. All right, now we chained 1. We're going to chain 2 more, so we have a chain 3 there. We're going to skip this first stitch and slip stitch in the next. And then chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And go right to that next stitch and slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch in the next. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch in the next. 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch in that last stitch. And that gives us those little ruffles on the bottom of her dress. All right, so let's go ahead and clip that. And we'll go ahead and weave this in. And when you're working with this kind of yarn, you can't really go through the fibers like we do with, say, a 4-weight or a 3-weight yarn. And so I just go forward. I try to come up to the next one and go back the way I came, only not going through the same stitches. And then just kind of go back through it again until I run out of yarn. Looks like I didn't cut that one short enough. There we go. So if your angel isn't as crisp as you would like her to be, you can pin her to a blocking board or lay her out on a towel and pin her out with some straight pins, and then just spritz it with a little bit of water and let it set overnight, and it will be nice and crisp. Okay, now I really love the gold angel that we made with this beautiful bright yellow yarn that I had left. And if you want to get some of this, this is the Premier Parfait Chunky from Premier Yarns, and I always put my Premier yarn link underneath the videos where I use a Premier yarn. And this one is one of my favorites. I love the Parfait yarns. Anywho, the next thing we need to do is, of course, embellish her. Okay, so remember, I got my little doggy button, and so I'm going to grab my smaller needle and thread on this white yarn. Now, if you don't want to sew your buttons on, you can always use a hot glue or an E6000 or a tacky glue of some sort. But I like to sew them on if I can. But when you have a hole in the middle, it makes it a little bit inconvenient. So you're going to want to come up next to it, and I always make a loop when I'm sewing a button onto something crocheted or knit that has a lot of loops. I make a little loop like that, and then we have some in the back here for weaving in, and this one goes sideways, so we're going to just go across that. There we go. want to make sure it stays the right direction. I don't want it upside down or tilted. And I'll do that a couple of times. I'll go all the way through. I don't know that this is really going to be played with, but if you use it as a bag tag or decoration, I'm sure that it will be played with some. All right, so the button's on. And so we're going to make sure that's on there securely. And one thing I like to do in the back, if I am working again with yarn items, is even though it's secure, I like to go through, you know, some of the loops just to give it a little extra security when I tie it on. That way my knot's not going to get lost and get pulled through. Because we do need to tie a knot in order to keep that button in place. You can put a little dab of glue on the back on your button as well, if you want to. Because remember, this isn't something you're going to wear. It's probably not going to go through the wash. And I really love that little button. Isn't that cute? So cute. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is just add a ribbon. All right, and so I want to go through the stitches here to make sure it's going to hold and not just the loop. There we go. Alrighty. And then we'll just tie a little knot up here. I'm going to lay those flat at an angle. There we go. And that's just how easy it is to make these little angels. And so you see, you can make them with lots of different kinds of yarn and add lots of different kinds of embellishments and buttons. I think this would be a great group project. You could get in your yarn stash and make a bunch of angels up, and people can choose their ribbons and their buttons. And even like all your grandkids, when they come over, you can have some pre-made angels and they can decorate them how they want them. I think that would be a great project. All right, so bulky number 6, chunky number 5, medium weight number 4. You can make them in any size with any yarns. The fiber doesn't matter. The size doesn't matter because you can make them in any size you want to. Okay, just remember to correspond the right crochet hook with the right size yarn. And these are just so much fun. And I really love this bright gold one that I made to represent my Maximo. All right, well, I'll see you next time.